I'm Ann Witzig with Park River Clean Water Association and George Comisky. And Ryan O'Donnell is going to be joining us to discuss also the work that they've been doing with Ipswich River Watershed Association. So expanding water quality monitoring in the river basins is our topic today. There we go. So at 7 a.m. Sunday morning, November 13th, so just not too long ago, your car thermometer reads 24 degrees. There is at least enough daylight to see that the frost on the ice and ice skim on the water. This is the last day of our bi-weekly monitoring of the water quality of the Parker River watershed. All 16 stations, ranging from Boxford all the way to Central Street Dam, all the way to the Mill River Dam and the Jewel Mill. Our team of 4 volunteers meet at the USGS Dam in Byfield to calibrate our 2 YSI meters. Then we split up. Two people, George and Julia Barone, go to the north side, west side of the interstate. Myself and my son Matt go to the east side. And we're like little ants going out there, collecting each one of us about 9 stations throughout this really freezing cold morning, our very last day. But at the same time, there's many volunteers also out in the Ipswich River doing the same thing. There's many more volunteers out in this cold morning, finishing up the last day of volunteering. And the final team is over in the Chabaco Lake area, also collecting samples. So this is a very large collective organization, all contributing to the water quality monitoring of our Pie Rivers group. But why are we all moving like chilled army ants this morning, collecting, recording, and later reporting our monthly data or bi-weekly water quality testing? Basically, to answer the question, to our communities, how's my waterway? Okay, our objectives are to create data of sufficient verifiable quality, upload to the EPA water quality database known as WQX, and share it with the public with this new EPA app, How's My Waterway? But why are we doing this? Well, we really are realizing, as Rob had said, there's so much data out there. We are living in a data world. We need to be pulling information together. So this is really where we're all heading for. So the public can get into this website and understand what's going on. Okay, so this is a really nice public-facing website. I'm very impressed with it, and because we're now collecting a lot of data, and we're really finding talking to the public, letting them know what's going on is really one of the biggest challenges. So some of the features it offers, I'll see if I can work this, is it gives you layers. So just if anybody, base maps, just like you would in a regular GIS map. It gives you other types of layers for overlapping on your map. Let me get that off of there. If you have an upstream area, notice it just added Georgetown and the upstream part of the watershed. It took off some of the watershed areas and add them on. And finally, you can find out what data is going on in here. Let's see. So monitoring locations are down here. So this is all the data now that's in the watershed. And this is, to me, the most important part. If I zoomed in on all these little numbers, zoom closer, you would actually get more descriptions of what's going on, who is collecting data and various information. We are not on this yet. And we want to be on this map. That's the bottom line. We want to be included on here that says not just Parker River, but Essex and Chabaco are all part of this this display. Well, how do we do that? That's the big question that we're going to be working on today. Well, first we start with a good quality assurance program with Mass Base called AquaQuap. AquaQuap. And I want to give you an example. I want to actually show you what this looks like. It's pretty amazing. And Jill is sitting in the audience and probably going, I'm amazed of all the work I've worked with Ann. And it hasn't been, I appreciate all the work that they have put into this. So this is what we'll be doing next year. This year, our work has been learning our technology, learning how to use meters, I'll show you in a minute, and really how to get data that's going to be appropriate for this. but it's just great because what it does is guarantee that a citizen science program like ours, we're all retirees, we're various groups of people. How do you allow good data to happen? So they actually provide you a user's guide, but down here, what I particularly liked was the data management section. This is so critical. Your planning, your data management, your data review, archiving, data analysis, and reporting. So even a citizen science program can create data of good enough quality and verifiable quality that can then go on to that excellent website, How's My Waterway?
Right. I'd just like to add that for years, for over 20 years, Parker has been collecting water quality data, but without a quality assurance project plan. It's just been for educational use. It's for our members to know what's going on in the watershed. So, our goal is to learn how to use the equipment, and that's what we've been doing this summer. And hopefully we can use our experience to put that into the quad, because we, for instance, we meet at one site, take our two calibration, we calibrate both meters, then we sample the same site. And we found like we were within the 100ths of each other in collecting data. So that's something we can write into the QUAP. This is how we calibrate. So this has been this year is an experimental type season, but hopefully you will see more results. And the other thing is not for us to be doing this ourselves, but we want to develop teams, maybe a little bit younger than
Yes.
to do this. So, but we can't have teams go out there unless we know how to use the equipment ourselves. So that's part of the program.
Yep, exactly. So how close are we to answering the questions for each of our communities? There we go. So this is a map of all the water quality stations that we are working on with IRWA. So you can see we've got a little bit cut off there. The Park River watershed is up there at the very top. We're doing 4 stations, actually maybe 5, 6 stations with them. And then down here at the bottom, in the middle is the Ipswich River watershed with their set of stations. And then on the eastern side is the Essex River. So this is the whole Pye River monitoring effort that's going on. So it's a lot of work, a lot of people all at the same time. We spent a lot of time in the summer learning how to use these YSI probes. This is one that we really love. It's the YSI, it's called the Pro Solo, and it collects temperature, conductivity, and dissolved oxygen data. Clearly YSI is a company that has always been out in the field and they're always improving their methods. We had to, but unfortunately, sometimes meters break down. And that's what happened to us this summer. So we had to learn to kind of think on our feet, and Brian had another meter. So things like this happen to you when you're working even with electronics. You think it's going to be really easy, but it turned out with supply chain issues, ordering new materials, we actually had to kind of work with different instrumentation. And these are the things that next year we hope we'll have all straightened out, is correct meters, and if we have to get new sensors, we'll be able to do that. But we definitely really think that with a good citizen science data collection program, something like this really makes it possible to have people who are not trained necessarily in science, people who are very interested in data collection, will be able to collect very accurate data using this instrumentation.
I'd just like to add that we in addition to the 4 sites that Ryan had us do, we do an additional 14 sites, and the amount of time we do every bi-weekly, it only takes us 2 hours to do 17 sites altogether.
17 sites altogether, yeah.
Yeah, so that's why we're really high on these meters.
Yeah,
and we're looking at getting another meter that will be more MS4 inducive. It'll collect phosphates and ammonia.
Ammonia, nitrate, conductivity, and chlorides.
Right.
What's the cost of it?
Oh, mucho, many thousands, like 7 or 8. Oh, this is more affordable. This is more like
1,500,
yeah, 1,500 to 2,000 the most. You still have to replace the cable sometimes. So you've got to make sure that your budget's got that in there. And it also has a little tip on the end that went bad for us, and that had to get reordered. And with supply chain issues, we just got caught right in the middle of just long periods and not being able to get anything ordered. But still, as long as you're budgeting for changes occasionally with the cable, which I think was like $140 or something, this was a much better purchase. Oh, question, yeah.
The conductivity that the white side or solo measures, can that be correlated to salinity?
Yes, easily. It has a function, and I love the way this works. That it has a program in it that holds the data, the KSS or the core SS data or something like that. But it has excellent software already built in too. So and you can actually have it record salinity, and all that is an algorithm going from conductivity to salinity. Yeah, question.
As you know, Governor's Academy has got a new science center coming online this spring, and I know they are interested in projects in the community. Probably pick up another site on the Parker, another site on the Mill, and maybe even they might be able to process samples for something that you're not collecting that you might be interested in sporadically. So it'd be really worth your while to talk with.
Yeah. I know Jim McDougall has worked with the governor's students, and I observed the governor's students out in the field, and that's certainly something we'd be interested in bringing them in, along with, Triton has a very active science program.
Over the summer, because they've got a new brander at that program. I can get you there.
Been there, done that. Yeah, so Erica is her name. I forgot her last name. And she and I have had a lot of talks. And so yes, we're already moving there and moving in that direction. Definitely. They were very excited, and it's nice. It's going to be nice to have that facility. One note is that we are not measuring salt water. We are keeping in the freshwater portion of all of our measurements right now. Okay, let's move. Question. Yes.
What is the frequency of the data that's collected with this equipment?
Every 2 weeks.
Every 2 weeks?
Yeah, and that makes a difference. It's so nice to have that every 2 weeks data. We used to be every month, and we really see a difference in the frequency.
So you have to go out and collect the data every 2 weeks?
Oh yeah.
So it's not just stored.
Oh no.
And so we collect data 3 ways. We haven't figured out the art of getting these data right on the probe, but we hope to have that next year to do that. We also upload the data onto the Riverwatch site, on IRWA's Riverwatch site, and created a Park River site that matches it. So we in the field we hand record data, and then we also upload the data from our iPhones up to the Riverwatch and Parker River site, and then hopefully next year we'll have the data also on the meter itself, which can then be downloaded onto a computer.
Yeah, so I can show you.
That's all done in 2 hours.
Let's see if I can. Okay. So what I wanted to do, even though this is really awkward to have to do it this way, I really wanted to show you. Again, we're focused on citizen science projects. So this is the ESRI Survey 123, and I just think it's perfect for organizations like us that we need to create something that's easy data collection that our groups could use, people who are not biologists or engineers. So I really like this. Let's see if I can scroll down. It was easy to create. What's on the side is really the way that you just take that information. Like if I want an email address, I would just slide that over and it would just create a column for me. If I want time, I would just slide that over. You can see that over here. And it creates just a really nice, easy to make app, you feel really smart when you're done with all this. And it's really some amazing, computer scientists behind all this, creating this ability. So I can add all this information out there in the field notes, latitude, longitude, so forth and so on. And then I just enter my data. The other cool part is up here at the top. I'll show you how the data looks. Okay, so here's how the data is going to come in. As it comes in, like I'm out in one half of the field, and George and Julia are out in the other half, and I can see that where they've been, the data they've collected, and how far they've progressed. But this is like sorted by a station, so you can sort it just like you would like an Excel sheet. I've got this location, is that by station or whatever it is, location. So it's a great way to go back and clean up your data for a group, for citizen science groups. But the other thing I really, because I like GIS, I'm a little bit biased. This is a way to get your groups into mapping. Mapping has always kind of got this reputation of being really difficult. It really isn't. Using this survey 1, 2, 3, it allows you to, as your group, create your map. And all this is, let's see if I can zoom in. Okay, so I'm zooming in. This is like step one when you're creating an online map. And there's many steps to go, but it's not hard. And so what it allows me to do is just, again, present data in a better form. So even each one of these dots, this would be George on the west side collecting data right now, and my group, my son and I, on the east side. And I can actually go in here already, and I get pop-ups that say location, all the data that was just collected that we just typed in there, chloride. And let me get you one that has a picture on it. It also allows you to, let me get off of there, to get photographs. And photographs to me, I don't always have them all loaded. Here's one, Ox Pasture Brook at Finno Drive, August 14th, a lovely date. So we can add photographs when we're out there. So we actually have real-time data in the form of media anytime that we go out. So again, the whole goal is trying to get citizens' data improved. Okay, so story maps. I really like story maps because this is another Esri product that it acts like a vessel for all of the information that you want. You can put media, multimedia, you can put pictures, you can put discussions on what you're doing. But the other thing that we realized was we have to get that information out there. So we added Facebook this summer to our public facing information. And then we also used the local news. Ipswich News was really very kind to come out with us and get some stories out there. So I want to show you the story map.
Once again, with our partnership with Pie Rivers Partnership, Ian is training RWA on these story maps. So they're starting to incorporate it.
So I really like this because I like pictures. So this is a way to tell the public, if you want to see the water quality data, the latest measurements, here they are. You can put nice pictures in there, and you can put your little, logo. But talk about dissolved oxygen at first. Oxygen is critical for life on Earth. Water heats up in the summer, and that's of course what we discovered. As water heats up, oxygen leaves. So talking about percent saturation, our current units of measurements for dissolved oxygen are percent saturation, or the amount of dissolved oxygen water can hold at a given temperature. Higher temperatures mean less dissolved oxygen. Maps of dissolved oxygen, or DO as we call it, in the watershed are presented below in dashboards for each date of sampling. So I also included, when they're working, maps of the USGS station on the Parker River of the flow at the time of we sampled and the flow currently right now, which is really quite dramatic. So learning dashboards, a very interesting process. They are a way of pulling together information very quickly. And let this load. So what I did was thinking, okay, I'm going to put my map in the middle. And then at the top left is a graph of what the water was when we were out there. I'm going to show you that first. They have these little buttons at the top that allow you just to pull it out. So when we were out there in May, May 15th was our data sampling, and the CFS was 20 cubic feet per second at the time. And the 76-year median is at the top in the golden triangle. So that's a nice, nice amount of water. Well, that didn't stick around too long. There we go. The other thing I did was I'll actually put down here at the bottom, this is the current water going on right now at the USGS site. That's the gauge. Here's the discharge for right now in the water. You can see that big storm that we just had, a huge amount of water. It's really brought the river up quite a bit. But pulling this back out, if a person is interested in seeing our data, I've sorted it here on the right-hand side. That says values less than 60% of the mean state water quality standard are do not meet the water quality standard for the state. I got a little bit covered. I need to fix that. So what I did was divide the data into two parts. 60% or greater for water saturation is good water quality. Anything less than 60% is doesn't meet the state standard. So you pick a color like red or brown for not so good water quality, and a nice light color for water quality that actually meets the state standard. And then over here I sorted it so it says I can click on this button. So the worst station was 28.3% saturated here at Ox Pasture Brook on Finner Drive. See if I can click on that. So it pulls it in, has these great little things, and beeps at you, and you can get a nice little page that gives you the information on the water quality, and then you just click on it again to go back out. So that's kind of the bells and whistles that you can pull together. But what was still missing was it just didn't jump at you immediately to tell you what's wrong with the water quality. You have to kind of play with it. So I have an idea. So I can scroll down and show you August 14th. August 14th is when I kind of figured out a little bit more in dashboards. This is how I spent my summer, creating these crazy things. They really get your mind just kind of spinning in circles. So I took out the whole thing about discharge right now. All it did was show bottom left is a water in the Park River at the USGS station. There is no water. You go, where's the blue line? It's at the very bottom. And that's the mean for 76 years at the top. So the water disappeared. And then I added these little indicators at the bottom. Okay, number of locations passing, 6. Number of locations failing, 11, and using color. So trying to get people to understand when you first open a dashboard, okay, now I know your conclusions. And if I have time, I will walk now through the data that you've provided me. So trying to kind of think about how people use information and what makes it easier for them to understand. So this is kind of the way I'm working on it right now. It's still a work in progress in terms of getting all the data together, but this is the way we're heading for. Oh, yes.
Does anybody know who's actually looking at this?
Well, that's the interesting thing. We've it's on our website. Well, it's on our website, Park River Clean Water. It's on the Facebook page. I have put it with an article in the Ipswich News, and I think I put it on the Raleigh Facebook page.
So it's on Ipswich River too, on their river wide.
But who's that? Does anybody know if anybody goes to the site?
Well, I think Ryan probably knows it. Once he collects his data, you're going to send it to the portals. And the advantage of us being in partnership with RWA is they already have an existing co-op with this data. So this data should start showing up on the state and EPA portals.
Well, so it's interesting. We just don't know. And I think the public, that is a bridge we need to cross. How do you get people to understand, and how do you get there? So we're doing the best we can right now. Any other questions on the water quality? So with the grant that Rob was talking about, we were able to purchase staff gauges and water levels meters, the hobo transducers, these really nice little water level meters that go on staff gauge. And
It's on the backside.
yes, and George is going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so as Ann was saying, we have you know, what we're really interested in is see what the relationship is between dissolved oxygen and flow. And that's what we're trying to accomplish with this grant. And we received a number of help from our partners. This is Kate Benson from DER, training us on the use of a pygmy meter. One thing about the flows this summer, IRWA has a pygmy meter, and DER lend us a long-term lease on their pygmy meter, but the flows are so low, ours couldn't record it. Because if you saw Rob's graph, there were a lot of 0.1 or 0.2, and just that these pygmy meters don't record that low. But Kate has a different meter that's able to record it. And so, you know, we really appreciate their work. We hope to be out in the field quite a bit doing this type of work and training. You know, we installed 2 staff gauges. This is in Boxford. You know, it doesn't look like much, but that's the headwaters of the Parker River in Boxford. And we installed another one on the Mill River.
There's the other one.
Because we really don't know what's going on in the Mill River as far as flow goes. I don't think there's ever been any staff gauges, and it's, you know, the Mill River is Raleigh's water supply, you know. So we're getting going on these meters, and we hope to collect data from these hobo loggers. Hobo loggers will last 5 years. They will, you know, I think every 20 minutes they'll record water level. And you know, we're getting help from IRW again. You know, it's the same logger that IRWA uses, so we can water their shuttle. Their shuttle downloads the data onto your computer. You know, so it's a good partnership, and we hope to continue with it.
Any questions? We're going to turn. Yes, back.
This is so much and a lot, and it's awesome. Thank you. Someone I lives near the Parker River and the Mill River. What, like, will the data help the Pie Rivers partnership, like, prioritize restoration projects, or do you think they'll be able to sort of find notable results and kind of package it up for municipalities, or
Because that's the next step in those action steps, is to share it with the communities. And it's interesting that the oxygen was obviously low all summer, so hotspots were everywhere, everything was bad, but it was the connectivity that was most interesting. We've added we've added sites now, like the one up in where
Glendale.
Yeah, on Glendale Road in Boxford, where he was just showing the meter. That is like almost pure water. It gives us a really good background data. And we've added 3 or 4 other sites that give us really solid background data from sub watersheds that do not have a lot of development. So with connectivity, we now know what a good background number is, but also what's a high number and what's a statistically significant location. And two turned up. One is Little River in Newburyport, which is not a surprise. That's been a chronic problem. That had very high connectivity levels. But the other one is Batchelder Brook in Raleigh. And it also was statistically higher. It was a whole standard deviation higher than all the other locations every time we sampled. And we're curious if it's salt maybe coming off the driveways, the large parking areas of the upstream businesses up there in Raleigh, or is it
There's a large development put in.
large housing developments putting in, and is it nutrient data? So connectivity measures the dissolved materials in the water. So that really is an area, a hotspot that we feel like needs to be focused on next year. So the answer is, we hope so. Any other questions? Yes.
Something you might want to consider, especially communities that have public water supplies along there. You could look at their well level dynamic and that, and you somehow maybe include that. So it's definitely gonna follow it.
People have talked about that a lot, that we need to monitor the well levels. And can we correlate well levels with water levels? That would be a really cool study to do. So we got to get the owners to let us do that. Yes.
What's your threshold for determining significant tributaries or significant points to check along the Parker River? And I know that may be a long, complicated answer, but I guess I'm wondering, are you considering adding additional monitoring points? And if so, what would the threshold be, and what's the relevance? You know, what makes them relevant or not?
Our stations we're looking at right now, the core stations were like from work that had been done from 2010 to 2016. There were 12 stations that had been selected for this long-term data. And that's kind of what pulled me into this, was this amazing set of data that George and group had collected. But since then, we've gone, because of this grant, we've gone and added data like these riffle sites, river in-stream flow, something. So they have provided, like I said, if you look at the distribution of the water quality, they're giving us a really nice set of clean stations. So I think at the point now, it'd have to be somebody who have to pick it out as a need
Well,
to add.
you know, we were kind of limited. We're an all volunteer organization. We don't have staff. I mean,
It's
that's
us.
another bonus of, you know, being partners with RAWA. So the other limitation was we're doing chemical data. And it became a burnout process for people who ran the water quality program, because there's a lot of preparation involved in chemical analysis in a lab. We were using the Governor's Academy for years. And then there's more work even after the sampling. You know, it's almost like, you know, a 72-hour project. With the speed of these meters, the meter we hope to get up and running next year and the two we have now. And I think RAWA is looking at using the same meters so we can use it throughout the three watersheds. We might be able to add more sites, you know, because before we used to have, you know, 12 or 13 people individually monitoring. Now we can just do two-man teams.
Yeah.
And maybe we can look at like Willow Brook. Willow Brook is the flows right into the Byfields water supply, you know. So we could look at other tributaries that we might think is a hotspot. I mean, if you look at the watershed assessments, and I think they just came out with the integrated list, there's a lot of unassessed basins, tributaries in the Parker River, and I think in the Ipswich River too. So it depends on the equipment, I think, and see how it works out. But yeah, I think that could be a goal, that we increase our stations.
Okay, so I'm going to have Ryan show his work. Let's see. Next on here. There we go. So this is the work that Irwa's been doing that we joined in this year. Connectivity and chloride. So we would do we're at the very top of there, do our little chloride stations. And then they added bacteria and nutrients. Nutrients being, where's Ryan? Why don't you come up and talk about that?
Yeah, I can.
Yeah, you bet if you do that.
Guess we can leave now. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, we can.
Right, thank you. I'm Ryan O'Donnell, and I coordinate the monitoring programs for Ipswich River Watershed. And just want to recognize Parker River Clean Water Association for all the fantastic work they're doing. It's really great working with such enthusiastic partners. So we really appreciate all that you're working on, especially in terms of technology. That's fantastic stuff. So for my part, I just really wanted to highlight the the partnership aspects of the monitoring that's going on in the region. And I'll start by saying that the Ipswich River Watershed Association has had the River Watch monitoring program for many years now. And that's been focused solely on the Ipswich River Basin. It's included a network of 30 some odd sites doing things like dissolved oxygen, temperature, and more recently, more in terms of conductivity and chlorides, most recently. And these are just looking at general indicators of ecological health. The frequency has been on a monthly basis for about 10 months out of the year. And recently, Mass DEP has been issuing these water quality monitoring grants. And the objective of this program is to have watershed groups increase their collection of data of known quality in order to assist them with their watershed assessments that they have to do for the Clean Water Act. So George alluded to the most recent integrated list that was issued by Mass DEP in draft form. And our data will be sent to Mass DEP so that they can use it for their analysis. So to that end, we've had a quality assurance project plan. And as part of this grant that we got from Mass DEP last year, we were able to upgrade that a bit, relying in part on Mass Bay's AquaQuap tool, which is fantastic. It allows you to build a QuAB to include the different constituents you want, the data quality objectives you're looking for. And yeah, it's like a TurboTax of sorts for quality assurance project plans is the way they describe it. And it works exactly like that. And it allows you some customization too. So it's very flexible. So I just wanted to highlight the priority data monitoring types that are going on in the region. And these are identified by Mass DEP and include things like conductivity and chloride, i.e. like road salt impacts, where conductivity is more general for ions and chloride is specific for road salt. Bacteria is very important, and as well as continuous monitoring. In other words, data loggers deployed throughout the region to look at different things. In particular, we were able to get data loggers that will continuously record dissolved oxygen, and also individual temperature loggers that are relatively inexpensive and can be deployed more broadly. So I just broke down the monitoring sites by constituents, so you can see the network of conductivity and chloride. And these are all subsets of the larger map that Ian showed before. So you see the number of sites in the Pie Rivers region that are looking at conductivity and chloride under this grant, bacteria, and nutrients, which in our case is phosphate or orthophosphate. It's the specific form, and nitrate. Those two are easier to measure. I think total phosphorus and total nitrogen, I think, are more informative, but are harder to measure or take more resources and time. The continuous logger sites for dissolved oxygen and temperature. I wasn't really prepared to speak much about the results other than maybe general observations as far as chloride levels being high, relatively higher in the upper Ipswich where there's more development, more road surfaces and areas. The data is very new, so.
What are the frequency of the non-continuous data?
Yeah, so the conductivity and chloride, as far as the River Watch program is monthly. The bacteria nutrients is every other week. And obviously the continuous is whatever frequency you can set, 10 minutes, an hour, whatever you want it to be. And all this data, I'm going through it and I'm sifting through it all and trying to curate it. So to say whether or not it meets our data quality objectives and indicated as such. So when I upload it to the Water Quality Exchange, I can point that out to DEP. like I say, here's our data, it's all been evaluated, you can retrieve it, and then you can analyze it for your purposes. And that's exactly, I think, what the aim is of all this work. How do I get? Oh, yes, go ahead.
Is that an input or is that natural or?
Yeah, all of the above, septic systems, agriculture, probably don't have enough information to tease it all out yet, but it's something that we can look into more as we go forward in this. Okay.
Does the fluoride levels kind of coincide with the season?
Somewhat. It's actually can be actually the opposite. The chloride levels seem to be relatively constant throughout the year with some variation. And in fact, during low flows, like this past year, everything gets more concentrated, so you can even see higher levels. So that's a little alarming. Well, it does, but I think that salt, there's so much of it and it gets stored in the system and it's just being released over time. Yeah. Yes.
Based on the land, so you're assuming that it's from a certain type of land use. Is there a way to break that into a grid or into sections? Saying, here's how much coverage in this watershed area, or this is the type of development area. Is there any interface that allows you to do that?
Yeah, you could probably do something in GIS with impervious area as far as like a visualization. As far as like analysis of the actual the values and everything, I'm sure there is, but I don't have an answer.
There is land data available for the state, but it's very allocated. So typically when we do an analysis like that, we go parcel based and actually have a layer for communities to identify what sort of parcel it is, whether it's an open space parcel or residential. You can quantify it that way, but it's a little lot.
I think I'm just really think from a land planning tool, that's a really useful.
Absolutely. And that's a great next step that we're sort of looking forward to.
Right, I'm gonna do that.
I'm going to say like 2 more seconds. And I just want to say we're also working on a data dashboard so that people can look at it. And it's also available on the water quality, the How's My Waterway tool. And we'll have more to say about that in terms of like through the High Rivers website. And I want to recognize our intern, Sarah Dawson, who's done a lot of work in this project. She's been working on this dashboard and she's done all kinds of testing and field work this past season. So that's been, she's been a fantastic asset to the organization. And she's looking forward to finishing up college this year. So she's well on her way to great things. Thank you.